So to make your magic ring, you hold your tail of your yarn with your pinky, and you take the working part of your yarn, the one that's connected to the ball right here, the long piece, and you wrap it around your 2 fingers, just like you were making the slip knot, and you make an X on the top. So I kind of use my 2 fingers here to grab that as I work. So I keep my working yarn, the part that's attached to the ball, tight, and the little tail here is held with my thumb. So then I go under the X along the top, grab the working yarn, pull it under, and you can use your hook here as an actual tool. You can hook it, you can grab it, whatever angle works for you. This is how I do it. I pull it out straight, and then I flip the hook up. Okay, so now you've got the loop on your hook. You haven't let go with your fingers or your thumb. And that, if you let go right here and just pulled, would make you a slip knot, which I'll show you. Slip knot. But let me do it again so you can see that I'm not making a slip knot. I'm holding the tail with my thumb here, working yarn with my pinky and my ring combination. Go under the X, pull it through, flip it up. So now you have a twisted loop on your hook. And then to make the magic ring, all you do is you grab that other part of the top left X, which is your working yarn, and go, that's called yarning over. So you yarn over, and then you bring that yarn over through that loop that you had on your hook and lift it back up. So now you still have a loop on your hook, but it's connected completely different because you have a ring when you let go of your 2 fingers. So then I just take the tail, pull that little tail out of the ring. It just happens that way, the way that you crossed it on your fingers the first time. So you pull that out, and this is your magic ring. Some people have double magic rings, and it's totally different start. I haven't learned that one yet, the double magic ring. This is a single magic ring. So now you've got your loop, like you were seeing me do in the other video, and I literally just go under that part of the loop. I start to the left of it, of the knot that I have, slip knot in the loop basically. Make sure you work with your tail on top of your hook, and that way it works your tail into your magic ring as you work. So you kind of work over both loops. So you saw what I did. I went, all right, start. There's my ring. Go under. So you call yarn over. You flip the hook, so you're kind of using it as your tool. Pull up a loop. Yarn over again, and yarn through both loops. And that's a single crochet in a magic ring. And most amigurumis, however you say it, starts with 6 single crochets in a magic ring. So that's 1. So I went under both pieces again, yarn over with my working yarn, pull up a loop. So now there's 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over again to finish off this single crochet, and then go through 2 loops. And now you can see, you can count, there's 2 V's. This is your starting point, that's your slip knot here, that base part, but the V parts are your stitches. So you've got 1 V, 2 V. Underneath the hook you can see there's another V. That's 2 single crochets in a magic ring. So I keep working. Make sure you keep that tail as part of your work so that you make sure it works into the single crochets. It doesn't get lost separately, and then like you don't want your tail on the other side while you work, because then it's going to be a free tail that you're going to have to tie in. Actually, that's the part that you use to pull the ring tight. So you want it on the left always. Work around it. That pulled up a loop, so now you've got 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops. Now there are 3 single crochets on your loop. 1, 2, 3. Do it again. Go under both yarns, the tail and the ring. Yarn over with the working yarn, so you get 2 loops again. Pull through for a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again for a 5th, 5, and 6. Some amigurumis start with 4. Those ones are hard because once you close it, you're very tight to get back into these stitches. But most start with 6. So this is the normal way to start most amigurumis. Usually the 4s are for like the ears or the nose or small fingers or something. You don't usually see less than 4 in a magic ring, but if you do, it's going to be tough. So yarn is still on the hook, the last single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To close the ring, you literally just take the tail, the small end, hold your work on your hook so it doesn't pull this loop loose like that. You want it tight. You don't want it too tight because this is how you create tension. It's the this is the actual millimeter of the hook is the pull part. So I usually use that to gauge. You pull your yarn tight to the hook but not too tight, and that is how each stitch is going to be even, by keeping it that same tightness around the hook. So you grab your tail, pull as you hold, and you'll see the tail makes the ring close. All right, so we're almost there. It's not quite closed yet because not a circle. You got to be careful not to pull too hard because I've broken so many tails. And that is your 6 single crochets in a magic ring. Some amigurumis have you chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1. I don't. When you're working just in a spiral, you just work into the next crochet. So 6 single crochets counting from the hook is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then to work in the first crochet is this one. So you've counted to know exactly where the stitch is. This is how you keep your tail part of your work nice and neat. You go under the tail to draw up a loop to make your next single crochet. Some amigurumis will have you do half double or a double here. This is just a single crochet to close up the circle and start your next round. So there's 2 loops on the hook, just like we were doing before with a single crochet. You yarn over with the working yarn, pull that through both loops, and now you have a perfect circle. And then, I don't have my clip right here because I didn't plan for it, but you would take your marker, because you're working in the round, you need to know your starting point. This is number 1. That stitch that you just made, see the V? That's your first single crochet in this round. You would put a marker. That way when you single crochet into the next, so that, oh yeah, I'll show you this too. When you pull your yarn, you can see which loop you just went in. You can see this is the hole you just went in, so that you know this is your next single crochet to work into, and you have to use your finger as a backboard because it's really tight to get it in there. But you go under the next V, the next single crochet in that round, again keeping the tail over your work so that you incorporate it in. You can cut it probably right around here so that it's a little shorter, and the rest of it just gets worked into your work. So you yarn over by literally just twisting your hook to grab your yarn, your working yarn. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again. See, I just kind of go under, twist, grab, and then I go to the base of the V. It's the easiest place to get your hook, and I kind of wiggle, work, and pull. And see how much times I move my hook around? It's like you're using it as a tool. So now I've got 1, 2 single crochets in this round. This will be 3, 4, 5, and 6. This one would have had your marker in it. And then you kind of work your work down because you're working on the outside, always facing you. You never want to be working this way around your loop because that's inside out. This is the outside edge. You're always working counterclockwise around your spiral. So I kind of work it. This is the point of your loop. A lot of patterns will have you increase around the first row, which is just putting 2 single crochets into each and that's just an increase. I can show you what that looks like. So if you were going to increase around, you would go under, keep the tail above your hook so that you're working it into your work, yarn over and pull through, 2 hoops on the hook, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull them through. That's 1 single crochet in that stitch. The increase is just doing the same place that you just had it. See that hole where you just went in? You want to go in the same hole. Make sure you're not into the next single crochet. You can always tell by the V. And like I said, you can pull up to kind of see which one you're working in, and you can see the other one is right here in that same hole. You got 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and draw through 2, and that is an increase. You've got 1, 2 single crochets in the same crochet from the previous round. And then it's hard to see the next spot, so you see how I'm working it. I lift it, I pull a little bit tight, but I'm not making this part loose on my hook. I'm just pulling to see where is that hole we were just in. So that's this V. So the next one is this V right here. You can see that is the next hole to go in. And it's tight because you're starting small. And this is your next increase. You yarn over, pull through, and go through the same hole you just went in. Yarn over, pull through, and there's your second increase. You've got 2 crochets there in the same hole, and you would increase for as many times as they told you. If you increase around, that just means increase in every single stitch until you get to your stitch marker. But see how it's forming the shape. Everyone's going to be different depending on, if you're making heads, usually it's a perfect circle. You increase around the second round. I only did single just to show you how to do it. But then when you get to the end of your tail, it'll just be, say this was the end right here. So you could just push it behind so it stays inside your work, and then you work into the next crochet. You know, and there's your second increase, your third increase on this round actually. But now your tail would be gone. Let's pretend it was clipped there, and you could just keep working. There might be a little tiny piece on the back, but then you just keep working. But you have to remember, if you're doing this kind of crochet, every single time you get to your stitch marker, you take out your stitch marker, make your next stitch, whether it's single, half double, double, whatever they're telling you to do. As soon as you make that first stitch, let's say it was this one, okay, I put my stitch marker in my mouth so I don't forget to put it back because I know it doesn't belong in my mouth. That exact first stitch, you have to put your stitch marker right there. And I don't have them with me, but it would just be, you can use a bobby pin. That would work. It'd be long, so it might get in your way. They make the little round stitch markers that you can just clip. So you would clip it there, work your way around until you got back to that spot. Again, take it out, make your stitch. Every single first stitch, you've got to put that stitch marker. And I use a stitch counter, and I know which round I'm on. So I keep track. I put row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. So I know which round I'm working on. And this is crochet in the round. So magic ring one more time. That's how you pull it all apart. Take your tail, working yarn in your right hand, hold it with your thumb, wrap it around your 2 fingers, X on the top, go under the X, pull that loop through. I always flip my crochet hook, go back over the X, grab your working yarn over, pull through, so that when you slide this nicely off your 2 fingers, you've got your ring. It looks like a pretzel, and you pull the tail out, and you make sure that this is tight. Oops, I didn't do that right. What the heck did I do? Do it again. What did I do wrong? Ah, there we go. Alright, so you pull a little tail, So make sure you hold the knot on your hook while you do it, because it might get lost. You want the tail on this side, like facing you. Pull this one tight. You don't want it loose when you start working, or that's gonna make your loose tension. That's what they call tension. You want it tight around your hook, but not super tight, because you'll have too small of a stitch to get into the next time. Go under, yarn over, pull it up, and go through, and there's your magic ring start. 1 single crochet. Ta-da! I hope that helped.